Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your August 2018 mid-month general readings. Thank you so much for joining us here today and welcome to any newcomers. I am back in Poland. Well, actually, I was in Poland, I think, when I did the beginning of the month readings, but I went on, I just got back from a couple of weeks tour through Turkey. A wonderful, amazing experience. But oh my God, hot to go there in August, like 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It's crazy hot. Wonderful experience. So I am back in Poland, where I will be here for about another 4 to 6 weeks before I head back to my more or less home base of California. So thank you for joining us here today, and thank you for those of you who continue to like, share, follow, subscribe. Thank you to all of my clients out there, regular and new, for continuing to keep me so busy, whatever part of the globe I'm in, with personal one-on-one readings. And as always, if any of you are interested in scheduling a personal one-on-one reading with me, live or recorded, you can get more information and contact details by clicking on the little description bar of all of my videos or going to my YouTube channel's homepage and clicking on the little About button. Please email me directly at maggie1maguire@gmail.com. I'd be delighted to work with you and set up a reading as quickly as we can. Turnaround time is pretty fast, almost always within a couple of weeks or so, and I can almost always get back to you within the same day or the first 24 hours of your initial contact. So shoot me an email if you're interested, and we'll go from there. You can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy for fast answers to the quick, easy questions. That link's also provided. Okay, this reading is for the air sign of Gemini, our twins, for the remainder of August 2018, the last couple of weeks of August. If you know your rising and moon sign, watch those videos as well for additional clarification. General readings always resonate a little differently for everybody watching. Details and specifics anyway, although the energy and advice always remain the same. Okay, Gemini. We begin with the 9 of Swords and the 8 of Cups. Too much stress, Gemini. Gotta cut that out. And the 2 of Wands, followed by the Empress. It looks like you guys need a timeout or something. And from the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and guidance is the 4 of Swords, rest and respite. Yeah. So, Gemini, I think you guys need a bit of a timeout or a rest, recuperation, maybe a short little vacation or getting away for a little while. Maybe some of you are feeling a bit overwhelmed, tired, worn out, exhausted, fed up. Your crowning card, representing your overall energy and focus and guidance and advice, is the 4 of Swords. Swords is air energy. And in the tarot, the suit of this, the energy of this suit is mental energy. It's air energy. It's all about it's intellectual, mental, cerebral, psychological, I can't talk today, psychological energy. So the energy of the suit of Swords is all about what goes on up in our heads, how we look at things, how we see things, what we think and believe about things, our belief system, because what goes on up here directly affects the way that we see the world, people in the world, and how we relate as well, because it all starts right up here. So the energy of the suit of Swords is about that: truth, higher education, learning, all of the stuff that goes on between our ears. So the 4 of Swords is a card of basically needing a break, rest, respite, restoration, at least a temporary break, a step back to get a different perspective, maybe a fresh perspective, and kind of recuperate a bit. And it usually shows up when someone's feeling tired, worn out, overwhelmed, exhausted, fed up, just stressed out. And you have that 9 of Swords, which I hate saying for anybody. It's too much stress, anxiety, worry, and fear. You can see that this soldier, who's dressed for battle, still dressed for battle, he's laying down on this couch here. He's completely worn out. The swords pointing down at him represent the battle or fight or challenge or struggle or something maybe that he's been working at or something, some conflict even, or actual fight. And there's a sword lying close by his hand should he need it, if he needs to defend himself. But for the time being, he's not engaged. He's taking a rest. He's worn out, tired. He's removed his helmet and his wrist gauntlets, but it's a temporary timeout because he's still dressed for battle, so it implies that he has to go back into it at a certain point or deal with it at a certain point. And he's also maybe so tired and worn out that he just didn't have the oomph to take off the rest of his armor. He's tired. He needs a timeout, not only just to rest and recuperate, but perhaps get a fresh perspective, because sometimes when we're really involved, as everybody knows, you get involved in something, whether it's a body of a long, hard struggle of hard work, or a conflict or a fight or a challenge, something that's the source of, there's obviously something that's a source of a lot of stress, anxiety, and worry for you, Gemini, at least for a lot of you watching. When we're in the middle of it, it can all seem kind of bad, and we're not seeing anything else because it's just, we're thinking about the same thing over and over again and focusing on it. And the more that we focus on it, the bigger it gets in our heads, till sometimes it gets so big and bad and horrible in our heads that it doesn't even match the reality of the situation. It might not be that big and bad and horrible, which is what the Nine of Swords represents, which is what you have too. Not to say that the source of your anxiety or fear or exhaustion isn't valid. It totally is valid. But I see the Nine of Swords comes up when you're in fear of a future that hasn't even unplayed yet, future tripping as my kids call it, or you're worried about something that happened in the past, which you can't change anyway. But it usually happens when somebody is afraid of the future. What if this happens? And what am I going to do? And what if this doesn't happen? What am I going to do? And it's all bad and it's terrible because the only voice you're listening to is your own in your head, which is no good. You've got two swords cards here, and swords is about what goes on up in our heads. And they're both sword cards that represent that there's too much going on in your head. You're thinking about it too much and always in the negative. It's not as bad as you think you are, as you think you are. It's not as bad as you're making it out to be in your head. What we focus on grows, and it's just these thoughts going around and around. Can't sleep. It's disturbing your everything. And you need to take a break from it. You need to take a step back from it. It's your overall energy and guidance. Lots of stress, anxiety, and worry. The little owl on the windowsill, everything on a tarot card is symbolic. I mean, everything. The colors, the designs, the people, the animals, everything. The objects. You could spend 20 hours on one tarot card. Everything is symbolic. You can see there's a little owl sitting here on the windowsill. She's not looking at it. Why? Because she's consumed with what's going on inside of her. Whatever the source of this fear, worry, stress, anxiety. It looks like the ending of something or the walking away of something, leaving something, someone behind, a situation, relationship, something. Lots of stress. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Everybody else is probably snoring, but she can't because she's just consumed. She's just consumed. That little owl, however, owls are one of those universal symbols for, wisdom, truth, enlightenment, an answer, a solution, insight. Kind of like in the childhood stories, Winnie the Pooh, whenever they had a question they couldn't answer or needed an answer for something or wisdom, they went to Mr. Owl because he always had the answer. Even if he didn't have the answer, he had the answer. So there's something like that very close to her, but she can't see it because she's just consumed with all of her thoughts, these swords representing, thoughts, belief systems, things. Usually the Nine of Swords shows up when what you're afraid of is something that hasn't even played out yet. Always illusionary energy. It's not that bad. You could cut this down in half or even less than that. Stop going over and over again in your head. Do what's in front of you to do, whatever the source of this energy, of this worry, stress is. Do what's in front of you to do what you're capable of doing. Beyond that, when you find yourself dwelling on it, ruminating, thinking about it too much, do something different. Like physically, literally do something different. The best way to combat fear of the future and this kind of energy, because it can be paralyzing, it keeps you stuck in it. It keeps you in inaction, is taking action, using logic. I'm afraid of this happening. Okay, if there isn't anything you can do about it because it's already happened, worrying about it is just a waste of time. If it hasn't happened yet and you've done everything that you can around it, again, worrying about it isn't going to change it one way or the other either. So that's what that card represents. Now, what clarifies it, and remember, your overall energy is got to take a step back and take a breather from this. Now, what clarifies that Nine of Swords stress energy is the Eight of Cups. Cups is water energy, and in the tarot, the energy of the element of water in this suit is emotional energy. It's about, water is mercurial and fluid, and so this is about the area of our life in the tarot that deals with the watery mercurial world of emotions, feelings, relationships as well. The Eight of Cups is a card of walking away, of leaving something behind. Why? Well, you can see that these 8 cups on the ground behind him, some of them are tipped over and empty, some of them are upright. The implication being that he's tasted and drunk from most, if not all, of these cups. And at the beginning, he may have been excited and thought they were going to be one thing, but they turned out to be something different or something disappointing. At some point, he's turned away from whatever these cups represent and said, you know, it's not doing it for me. It's either run its course, or it's turned out differently than I want, or it's not what I wanted. So it's a card about leaving something behind. There may be a sense of disappointment and disillusionment, but leaving something behind definitively. He's done that definitively. He is ready to go. His back is turned to us. He's dressed for travel. He has his hat on, his cloak on, his walking staff in his hand. He may not know exactly in which direction he's going in or what he's going to do next, because he's still surveying the horizon. But one thing is for sure, whatever these cups represent, he is leaving it behind. Cups has emotions. This could be, it's something that has emotions tied up with it, definitely, because it's a source of a lot of stress and anxiety. It could be a relationship. Some of you may be all stressed out and worried and anxious about a relationship. Have you left it behind? Do you need to leave it behind? Are they leaving you behind? Over and over and over again in your head, it's going too much thinking and thoughts around it. Or it could be that you're trying to make a decision whether to leave something behind. If so, the advice is still the same. I don't feel like for the last half of August, Spirit is calling for an immediate decision to be made, unless you absolutely have to. I'm not feeling that here. In fact, what I'm feeling is it's taking up too much free rent in your head and in your being, your psychic, your mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, psychological, psychic being. It's taking up too much. You need a break from it. You need to give yourself a vacation from your brain. If any of you saw that old movie with Bill Murray, What About Bob? You'll understand what I mean. Taking a vacation from your problems. Those of you who don't know what I mean by that, maybe you should see it. It's hysterical, but has its own wisdom too. All right, so at or towards the end of August 2018, we have the Two of Wands and the Empress. Wands is fire energy. It's usually building energy. It's change, movement, action, power. It's the energy of creation. It's enthusiastic, assertive, aggressive, fluid, dynamic energy. But the Two of Wands is a bit more passive energy, because this man is at a crossroads. And twos in the tarot often represent being at a crossroads, choices, decisions, duality. He's at a crossroads and he's trying to figure out, do I go left, do I go right? And it's right next to this Nine of Swords, too. Stress, anxiety, worry. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Walking away, leaving it behind. I need to leave it behind. Do I need to leave it behind? Have they left me behind? Or they haven't? What am I going to do? Which way do I go? The key to choosing the right path, because we're early on here, we're only at the 2, 10s are completion. The key to choosing the right path is in looking down the road. It's not making a decision or choosing a path now based on what you're feeling or thinking now, your current present day feelings and fears, because often when we make decisions based on what we're thinking and feeling in the moment, rather than waiting and looking and seeing what might be best down the road, we often jump into things, make the wrong decisions, and end up kind of complicating things even further. We don't want to do that. The Two of Wands is about pausing for a minute and going, okay, not what I'm feeling and thinking right now and what's in front of me right now, but in this situation, let me look down the road. Looking down the road means, what do I want in this area of my life, whatever this area of your life is, whether it's relationship or work or career or finances. Where do I want to be a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? What's my ultimate goal? What am I ultimately hoping to achieve here? Because when you figure out specifically what it is that you're wanting long term, then you choose the path that makes the most sense to lead towards that long term goal. Meaning you don't make any practical decisions that don't propel you closer to what that long term goal is. For instance, in a relationship, if you want to get married and have a home and have children, then you don't start dating somebody, or if you do, you stop dating them pretty early on. You don't date someone who doesn't also want to get married and have kids and doesn't want a family and a home and that kind of thing. No judgment there, but why would you continue dating them? Because they don't want the same things. So same with, career goals. If you want to be this person in this X position, in 10 years period of time, then you make decisions in terms of where you work, the kind of work you want, any education or training you need to get along the way that kind of keeps propelling you. You make practical decisions on that path that propel you towards that goal. You don't make decisions that stop you from reaching that goal or that aren't pushing you towards that goal, getting you closer to that goal. So the Two of Wands is about being in that crossroads and going, okay, What path do I take? Well, where do I want to go? What's my end destination? How can you plan and pack for a trip or a journey when you have no end destination? How do you know what to take, which road to take, what airline to take, how many pairs of socks to take? You know, that sort of thing. So, and that's going to help with all this stress and anxiety too. What do I really want down the road? And I need to make sure that the decisions that I make from here on out propel me closer to that road. If I'm involved with somebody that doesn't have the same goals as I do in a relationship, I'm not going to stay with them thinking that they're going to change or hoping that they're going to change and trying to change what I want to fit them. I'm going to make the decisions that propel me towards what I really want as my ultimate goal of joy and fulfillment, which is what Spirit wants for you anyway. And what clarifies the Two of Wands is the Empress, which is all about fertility and new beginnings. She's all about fertility, which means, well, it can mean literal fertility. So this might be, you know, an extra fertile time for those of you who are thinking of starting a family or adding to your family. And those of you who aren't, well, forewarned is forearmed. But fundamentally, fertility means what? It means that the time is right, the season is right, the temperature is right, the ground is right to plant seeds so that you can begin to grow and manifest something down the road. So when the Empress shows up, it's usually a green light to begin something new. To start something new, beautiful, positive, nurturing. And I have to add too, in addition to your overall energy being, you need to take better care of yourself. Take some time off. Give yourself a bit of a vacation in some way, shape, or form. The Empress also has strong energy of nurturing, of self-nurturing, particularly, you know. Take some time out if you can, or carve out some, if you can't, take some time away. Try and carve out some regular niches of little blocks of time for yourself over the next few weeks to do whatever makes you feel good, particularly in a sensual sort of way, a massage, a hot bath, taking your shoes off and walking in the grass or the sand, or I love that sensation, calming, or going and sitting in nature by yourself, and just something, whatever that makes you feel sensually soothed or makes you feel good, just even physically, mentally, emotionally feel good. So there's that too. It's about new beginnings. It's about taking care of yourself, nurturing yourself, planting these seeds to grow something new. So when you're thinking about, it's definitely time for something new to happen. You're trying to make maybe a decision about what to do and whatever the situation represents for you. Think about what you want long term down the road, what's really important for you. Now is the time to plant those seeds. You're at a crossroads, and you can plant seeds to manifest and grow something wonderful, something beautiful. Now's the time for the beginning of that process. Make sure that you choose it based on where you want to go, and that your actions and decisions hold you to that path and propel you further down that path. So Gemini, that pretty much wraps up your August 2018 mid-month general readings. I hope that you found it helpful, or at least not too confusing, because that's why we do these. Well, to help you, not to confuse you. Again, if any of you are interested in a more personal, tailored just for you one-on-one reading with me, live or recorded, you can get more information on my contact details by going to my YouTube channel's homepage, clicking on that little About button, or you can click on the description bar of all the videos I post. You can email me directly at maggie1mcguire@gmail.com. I would be most happy to work with you and set up a reading as quickly as possible. Turnaround time is pretty fast. Usually within a couple of weeks we can set something up for you. Sometimes it's as soon as a few days. Sometimes it's 1 to 2 weeks or so, but usually somewhere in that time period. So if you're interested, contact me and we will go from there. You can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy for quick answers to the quick, easy questions, not real complex questions. And that link is also provided. So Gemini, I will see you all again, my twins, in a couple of weeks for the September 2018 general readings. And until then, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. Take care, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.